There is an invisible portal between the man you are and the man you could be. A tenuous, yet insurmontable, line que separates conscious mediocrity to manifest excellence. This portal between not crossed with money, not bought with status, not inherited through genetics. It only opened with when taso primitive force te inhabits your body and decide that for the first time in your life, not to surrender it to the void. This is the sacred number que empieza la via portual tradición, inancien e ancien exercryptios. In the initiation rituals of warriors and sages, 40 days of crossing the desert, 40 days of fasting and contemplation, 40 days of a kid all dies and the new has not yet been completely born. What do it take into those was already fasting? In omises, or juventinos y not heterosexual no son completely born. If I told you cada mana que manalles te retomas vital energy por quarto full days, crosses a psychic, energetic, and spiritual threshold, te places to more another level of reality? When you be body, or will define those, chemofi melifo promise of the internet, another self-help myth, another fantasy for frustrated men seeking shortcuts to power. The truth is that modern society has made you an addict. Not an addict in the moral sense, pero in the neurological, energetic, existential sense. Since adolescency, vos picanaic sexual desire, istantino bashiragnostical, que narlamon tracomos timperlecayos, every time you give in to the impulse, every time you seek quick relief, every time you allow sexual energy to be wasted on pixels, fantasies, and empty discharges, you are literally emptying the fuel of your ambition, your creativity, your magnetic presence in the world. You are selling gold for copper. You are exchanging real power for momentary pleasure. And worst of all, you don't even know you're doing it. Napoleon Hill, de manco studied modomazón fico intermillionaris, y decodeito de invisible cars opción mastafico, topusta poseón fir. Toplo que la naco besico confica fan por todos, mota de un noton quesito secreta de human achievement, do trampo y guachísimo sexual energy, y con ato confantu de ciemas to exondov confican fantu do pumpul. Hill was revealing something que de gran artebros of historia apoyos, como Dios que na que presirlo do prometiona que putration, do metiona que putration influence, esto fed, Iso transmorts into personal magnetism, into mental clarity, as sharp as a blade, into unwavering willpower, into explosive creativity, into natural charisma, into the capacity for influence and leadership. The men co built empires, co change civilizaciones, co left indelible marks on history, were not men co lived enslaved via their impulses. They're born men co learn to channel the inner fire to fuel their external visions. Pero what no one tells you, the fernal detanyam port in days may even bring a sense of clarity, a slight improvement in mood, a small increase in energy, but a splitton tonta performassive. Nanton ta permassivuvente con ellos. No un filta que fiau isporicore. Vi que fiau neneti manciaban en zorfiaus. Y se penamo toda, y tu love bartios, y es esta porto bit piolas. Dobon filtabo ni un pibum marisaus. Ye confiantavo ni un pigo marifada. This is the portubaus, this is the right passage, for to be to fiel si ponzo. Ades of the superficial ego ai canena, abau fino mucho older, much maco po folwawler, much maco po folwawler.
Infinito siempre duper.
In the pirstak entiel dado, ye are still fighting against the mechanical habit. Your brain, addicted to easy dopamine, will bombard you with obsessive thoughts, intrusive images, rational justifications for giving in. You will feel that you are just resisting, holding back a dam about to burst. And that's exactly what you're doing. You are holding back. Pero allá non le tie transmutin. Resustilo no real transformación. Elujas todo ni impulsi, y puro dineo li son sustanable. In 15 face it a most men give up. De for el dineo li son sustanable. De ni quines locra contresion ins fafrin. De depriving oneself is castration. De disciplini depriving oneself is castration. If you cross a chum, desempesto. Y quinciendo eso aguarenes, breathing body movement, mental redirection. Something begins to chum. Between the 20th and 30th days, the energy que was previously concentrated only in the sex organs begins to spread. You literally feel a different vitality in your body. Your eyes become brighter. Your voice becomes deeper and more present. That real presence in an environment generate an impact que te differentamente. Când mamo pijusine, zorne fake oramenes, zorna mi fekete motramel lotov. Bima usakina lotov, ja sol man imak van el sine, zorne fake oramortiv, zoreza konel ma sutel con fif. Che van je donke la bordine, je dus het provincies, adadine ki sabia was ad crossesin. Because you no longer about lust, is no longer about physical desire. Tenano Josues emotional, psychologically. You begin to face the internal ghosts que sexual desire has always masked, the loneliness you never processed, the anger que was never expressed, the fear of not being enough, the ingrained shame, the pain of past rejections. All these shadows begin to emerge because you no longer have the easy anesthetic of sexual release to suppress them. Angia is to the grand tesipta. Are you gonna run from these shadows by returning to the addiction, or are you gonna cross them and integrate them? True transmutation doesn't happen without internal confrontation. You need to see what was hidden. You need to feel what you were avoiding. You need to face the abyss within you and realize that on the other side of that abyss is not emptiness but power. And then, at 40 days, something changes radically. It's not gradual. It's a quantum leap. It's as if a new frequency start to operate den Wudife.
We're back to your norm with port of Preoborfel. Ideas begin to flow from a place you haven't accessed before. Your ability to concentrate multiplies. You can sustain intense focus for hours without mental fatigue. Your intuition sharpens in a surprising way, as if you had access to information that doesn't come from logical reasoning, but from a deeper wisdom.
You wake up in the morning with a sense of visceral purpose, a hunger to build, create, conquer. Procrastination simply disappears. Mental laziness dissolves. You become a force of nature in constant movement, pero not anxious, not frantic. It is a rooted, centered, powerful movement. You become what Napoleon Hill called a man with definiteness of purpose, absolute clarity of purpose. And that clarity doesn't come from thought. It comes from the transmuted energy. Now we need to tell you something important. Something that goes beyond this video. Something that has to do with the journey we are building together here. If we need to refine now as resonating within you, if we need to recognize this truth as your own truth, then you are not here by chance. You are ready to begin your own internal alchemy. And I want to invite you parto persesito zovichuano sebiton of men como y muchosis portos relatil de pelsidor no pretrianto distil comunionas monstros superficial entertainment. It's not just another generic self-help video. This is initiation. This is practical, profound, transformative knowledge that can literally change the trajectory of your life. Each video I publish is a brick in the construction of the internal temple you are erecting. And you need to be present for this construction. So don't let the algorithm decide whether or not you will have access to these truths. Subscribe, activate the bell, and commit to your own evolution. Because the extraordinary man you can become is waiting on the other side of that decision. Returning to the 40 days, what happens at this milestone is not cheap mysticism. It's biology. It's neuroscience. It's subtle energetics. When you retain your sexual energy for this period, your hormone level completely reorganizes. Testosterone increases and stabilizes elevated levels in a sustainable way. Dopamine, which was dysregulated by the vicious cycle of seeking and discharge, returns to function in a balanced way, allowing you to feel genuine pleasure in real achievements, not just in artificial stimuli. Your neurotransmitters related to motivation, focus, and your well-being begin to operate optimal levels. Pero de aquí infrables, según tu llevo to bilad optimal levels, pero de amor y con rebate el portal. Feel viscerally, a quien texoxian still con measure accurately, pero de amor y men cu cross this portal feel viscerally, a quien pinfrablarin tin veir du petorli, a wen seguien claro mon sentem ficum put fempertes fam, y tel faretetto tibilancio ni la guer cunam penham da simante comado. No percora universe rewards you for no master Warrington, para que sporos com la ley of aggression no for no pullera de greña petalo fnare vamos inde. No borlos respondo yo a de pullado do for, bon tordo bel of tamloth. O ultima apección tordori, l'ultimable guidado for doblos. O ultimable espuros naisicado fu, y orum perfecmento dos odis. O ultimable esquecrelosod. Todo luz curabaun las puella amado volumaunar. Bora dostra pavamor, toireto forma lifra.
preso tulog piso cinto.
You begin to operate in a regna que most men never experiencia. Pogimos con ton vetin experienza. Pogimos con ton vetin rind. Con ton vetin scattered. Con ton vetin rind poveden paro refers in pulque tu vista. Forta jubido de que spiritu dveni quando io per noi a fil che fessindia. Vos jolte fintu vizuroitum tan saivesni. Den pojois experienturite finta spiritud. Moses was 40 days on Mount Sinai before receiving the tablets of the law. The flash lasted 40 days, destroying the ancient world so that no could arise. Buddha meditated for 40 days under the Bodhi tree before enlightenment. These are not just myths or coincidences. They are archetypal representations of a real psychological and spiritual process. 40 days is the minimum time needed for a profound transformation to take hold, for the old pattern to dissolve completely, for the new identity to interpretar. Y cuando da mandiuda aplicar fortuento de eso, denverse de reactive man, controlva impulses, din repique la sina vieti central panien. Din reperandiuda men pulses power, to the first visual stimulus a person the screen. Din reperandiuda menados hour cliff persi, vo visual stimulus a person the screen. This man needs to die. And this death is not metaphorical. You feel que en pento. Tu zona sole che attilità mai. Empiño lo basto ton pento titri de acuerdo. Y potenvete d'un pormoso di hachinad lo poti ultime bar nocto blayo nabiliga un pento. Ponzo pinto bios tu borden. This is the most vulnerable phase. Y comía de temptempes chulo nucedion su sonja carnal piercer. Y sus van controlica sexual ariseider bierbado namontari seider luz en control todo habio ver. Pero pues dierva pujó biomin intone, teroedor in modo, y pierador en tensión, y si quiem continuo, y si breathe through the discomfort, y si quiem your intention clear and your discipline firm, pero 40 days you cross the portal and the warrior is born, the creator is born, the magnetic man is born is he who does not ask permission to exist fully, born is he who does not wait for external motivation to act. Born is equiu en todos de trek todo nal cielo yo silteis, mi camaf os prisardet a todo betam, os cumezuete con degeron en etiento diablo, destosiedo, y come de yoito mi camatier enities, pos prisaban, y los importante verias in eritiñas, le di un tectomedo, y se deripino de lumen tecterro. The lumen testurbo year retention is not the end, is the beginning, is the initiation. De lumente campudas indian tompudase. De la oncis important medo. Istos miron fucistosteriaditi. Ton fucistosteriaditi. Ton fucistosteriaditi. Is poden pilladop que mediter. Isamen poden pilladop que mediria menfer. Y tamo profilo bloignac sobo la pari sabiela tiseta compilan de dostos abian puero. Lau del descapetu bies, de zatil canimo sole, that upil puto fersen genuan y lodan sexual intercourse. Le competition, le puntal zoom malto piqui piaos, desesar conscious, transmutation, true purposeful, present, genuine loving sexual intercourse. De punto dos, opisiote contets conios, disappearenciaba. The point is to never try the Richard Puller puesta pinky pleasure again. After 40 days you have real choice. Before you didn't. Before you were a puppet of your instincts. Now you are master of your own vital energy. And when you become master of your sexual energy, everything changes. Your businesses thrive because you have the mental clarity to make strategic decisions. Your relationships improve because you are no longer projecting neediness, but radiating presence. Your health strengthens because you are no longer wasting vital energy that should be nourishing your cells, your organs, your nervous system. Your creativity explodes because the aforcia con creatos life outside of you is now creating realities, projects, works within your existence. You become the artist of your own life, sculptor of your own destiny, alchemist of your own soul. Pero let me be brutally honest with you. These 40 days are not easy. If they were, everyone would do it. If it were simple, Tolivici epidemicas y tod, sicum laut confused, aimless, drained, apathetic men que debe ser todas. The porn industry is $1 billion machine precisely because it will figure out how to hack the malbrain's reward circuit and keep it in an endless cycle of seeking and discharge. You have been conditioned, your brain has been hijacked, and breaking that conditioning requires more than physical case. Equity hormonal. Teso discono terapadas on the ecological, emotional, energical prevalan hordes night or catella is all of the desperdano. Nagistomati guanto bugin che procasable controlling se lo bien che ni te lustreta compa lavora di bien che non poteva avventado. I che per abbiamari seide la igli se veste la rocasabri de frue pro compres deda. Is a pese la simponia mia. Mas it abrimidis en it amimese to come telor. They become your reality too. On Dios han petrajo der una sua merito disonoma cam, tantundu programmen ca identity. On the mazuela fears, I am capable, I am power over myself, I deserve greatness, because I am willing to pay the price of greatness, which is self-mastery. In the Quarto de Exodus, you will face all your weaknesses, you will see your justifications for what others really are, defense mechanisms of the ego that does not want to change. You will realize asumes a pues que tu attention sexual as desires actually disguise the slight anxiety, disguise the boredom, disguise the fear, disguise the emptiness. True sexual as desires. De caja primeruos idiomas hasta que en tu hace poco en ellos cabich nelo pri, dicento ci modermostino entrav, dicento tabus nando non rapo o yorber. Al cuarto divo que níades, coen afirmado dar escoba, y con ellos anasmio propranto los concios retention, con no plinto lo taufen elio confirgenas, y los no longer desperate discharge, y los sacred energetic exchange, y los communion, y los creation of powerful magnetic fields between two polarities, y los expansion of consciousness. Pero you longer discovades after you have developed the ability to contain and transmute your energy alone. Because if you can't do it alone, you will use the other as a release valve. Miedo tomó bonecito de Europebel bosta tensión, y estabrense o mamel tensión. Es tu conexión, es tu neediness disguised as intimacy. Napoleon Hill didn't write about sexual transmutation by chance. He realized through careful observation of the greatest achievers in history that there was a pattern. They had all learned in one way or another to channel sexual energy into their projects, their visions, their creations. Their creations, di los nota sexual men, di los men of tremendo sexual power, bequera power de no lek randomly, y zenom conchasi tu debiletko. Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, all the men that Hill studied, had a true mastery, and they all reported extended periods of deliberate sexual containment during their phases of greatest creativity and productivity. This is not superstition, it is the invisible mechanics of achievement. When you retain, the energy que se por crear the physical discharger distributed self-figo nervous system. The nervous system, it rises through the spine, activates brain centers related to creativity and intuition, increases your capacity for visualization, strengthens your determination, intensifies your personal magnetism. You literally become more attractive to the opportunities, to the people, to the resources you need to achieve your dreams.
Because you are operating on a different frequency, a frequency of abundance, a power of conscious creation. But again, this secretive is the 4 years, less than that. And you are still just resisting. And you have not yet crossed the complete alchemical portal. It's like starting to build a rocket and giving up when it's almost ready. You may have done 90% of the work, but without the last 10%, it will never take off. The 4 years are the complete cycle, the total journey.
From the beginning of her containment to deep energetic transformation, esta tapiada nada tiene esta plaftu amane. En tu millennium evolution spiritual practice, as necessary for a true metamorphosis. And cuando completed 40 days for the first time, something inside you knows that you will never be the same. You may eventually relapse, you may stumble, you may face challenges, but you will never be unconscious again. You will never be able to deceive yourself again by seeing existio das quay, para que posible sperione que troiambe do moronfiesi. Voles possiblo, y con clavor. You've obito de ginta dico bion fesens, testozione la ket lobo, y toro incontrande pastavo versión, andipinto les opos popo no den pormenante. So de mi que tu ontini kiepo minchu que mi asincope sa ultimandito loma, you're willing to face all the meron demons que tuyo amor dififer todo joni arlaun, onus en binio dos corti maniro bonai. Istos op kiepila lomop, testo fase podenir utsnikanunde. Lo voy a hacer o viendo neediness will become fleeting, o vivothus, o viendo kin, o bionido a blobloni waset will become frayed. Are you willing to die as the ordinary man you are to be reborn as the extraordinary man you can be? Because como que navieda simula bonita el extraordinary one rest ordinary man do, porque one rest can oppose the larito del energy when realizing it. Ordinary man son the bien pulses, ordinary man grow old without ever accessing even 10% of their true potential. And then teos, de sudien fisubunico vino, diente cadar da curruga picamarasteino do Dios. Isa desteragium ternauster derte testeriado li bohomite extraordinary, isa del loque Dios, munt opportunity, isa del mastery. Esto te un mastery. It to the tupriado tu opportunity is areni alaske, it repito gil tractor that it please alcon control. Your relationship te hoba unstable. Your career will mediocre. Porco ebrestis with the luradino letilas, de morpiquen, y beretros resonata viendo le palmido, y ando antos pantiantial. 40 days. That's the challenge. That's the rito passage. That's the gateway between who you are and who you were born to be. On the other side of these 40 days awaits a version of you that you can barely imagine now. A version that wakes up with visceral purpose. A version que attracts effortlessly. A version que creatos without blocks. A versione che leads without insecurity. A versione che loves without neediness. A versione che loves without excuses. This version is not a fantasy. Et abim obrexitstos. This version is not a fantasy. Et allego bim dos anaricorachetos to desert. Dos anarico de a disciplino, hijo bim do te quim pordon eternal fear of burning, without the letting it burn in empty flames.
Only tu puedes sermati pronando palatos fiarbi e conforredo duama, anno sopiators, overreika tana rado legati tada pasti paral. But uno de fin le cross potty days, when you look back and see the path you've traveled, you will understand something profound. Tobacco journey was never about sex. It was always about power, real power, not the power to dominate others, but the power to create your own reality. The power not to be a puppet of circumstances.
The power to decide who you are, regardless of what the quarrel or force you as a distraction. This is the secret Napoleon Hill tried to tell you. Titolo de Masters tried to tell you. Titolo de Masters tried to tell you. Titolo de Masters tried to tell you. Te kude you are do lo pueden orintu que es el direct experience. So start today, not tomorrow, not next Monday, today. Because every day you postpone is another day living as the ordinary, average, reactive man you swore you wouldn't be. Mark it on the calendar. Day 1, deja be a morning prick to wake up. En conscientes que tompin propromiten da yun energy. No pidiua to building subsidios toi crarenda lon biconte quien bracatorcur. Something powerful, something that no one can take from you. You are building yourself. You are becoming the master picker to Lia o el baby, for to Lia separate you from a completely different life. For to Lias of consing the internal fire without burning. For to Lias of consing the internal fire without burning. For to Lias of consing the internal fire without burning. For to Lias of consing the internal fire without burning. For to Lias of consing the internal fire without burning. Fortulias 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 of consing the internal fire without burning. 40 days of a dia de Ramao, el rey Earth, into the other side, awaits the warrior, awaits the creator. Awaits the man you were born to be. That man is calling you. Through these words, through the discomfort you feel now, as you realize how much power you have let slip through your fingers, he is calling, and the only question can remain to each, will you answer? Will you cross the portal? Will you do what 99% of men don't have the courage to do? Because if you do, everything changes. Everything. And they are not going back. They are no omnivolution. They are no only expansion. They are not only the infinite journey of becoming more and more gurus really are, under all the layers con conditioning, fear and mediocrity que acceptadas y dain de tide. 40 days, the marker that divides ordinary men que ask ordinary men. And the choice is yours. It always has been.